Hello! Welcome back to Lemon's Alphabet Advent Calendar. I am Stealth Lemon, also called Michael sometimes, and we're officially on the second half of this video series. I'm pretty excited to get through to the last part of this project, and a little thing that I've noticed, I'm going to just say thank you down below for your comments. They are really nice. I have been responding pretty much to all of them, as I said I would, and I've also been liking to see everybody else's list that is in the Stealth Lemon Discord, so you can actually go down to the description below and you can find the link in order to join the Discord, and you can just go ahead and plop it in general, and you can update it day by day as some are doing, or you can just drop the whole dang thing if you want to. So with that, we are going to go on to the next letter with letter M. There are a lot of M games. Let's start with what shouldn't be the M game of the year, but did come out and was a little bit disappointing. Let's say Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1, it's so hard because I'm a big fighting game player. And so Mortal Kombat 1 coming out, and it was like a fantastic story mode. Just the way that the 2v2 combat is set up, there's just so much stiffness and weirdness that in the characters that came out, or initially came out, I was not really interested in, like, at all. I played like Kotal Khan in Mortal Kombat a lot, and he isn't in this one, and that's fine. I don't think I even played Kotal Khan a lot in Mortal Kombat 11, but there was just nobody really there. Raiden was the one, and I liked that Stryker was an assist, so I kind of did that whole shenanigans with like all of the mix-ups. But in the end of the day, if you're playing a Mortal Kombat game a couple months after release and you're with the dedicated community and you're not with people that are picking it up or learning it for the first time, because Mortal Kombat really relies on its casual audience, that's not a bad thing. In the regards, though, I would probably consider myself a casual Mortal Kombat player. But I like to think to revisit it at least every now and again, but I have no desire to play Mortal Kombat 1. Even the guest characters have kind of fallen flat, and unfortunately there are rumors that normally they were planning on supporting Mortal Kombat 1 like their other Mortal Kombat games with a lot of like DLC releases, but with this like story expansion, I think it really kind of fell flat. It was a very strange game. Speaking of another strange game, that would be Multiverses. This is, again, like one that I played, but it is just not. They did something. I don't know what happened. So Multiverses originally came out. It had a open beta. You got to download it, and it was almost like people considered it at the time like a pre-release. Like it's an early access mode of the game. But apparently it was not going to just be like the early access thing, because it was just a long beta. So they pulled it. Multiverses just vanished, and people stopped talking about it. They stopped making little character guides, or like how to get good at Batman, or things that you would expect like a community to be able to do. The game was just taken away from them, and it had the momentum already going. And then by the time it got relaunched in like this last July, everyone was gone. There was no interest. People played it again, and everything was so slow. Everything seemed floaty. I know that a lot of platform fighters in particular, the ones that are praised by the sort of like voices you hear in those spheres, which are like the competitive players, it's like fast, fast, fast. We should be able to wave dash and L cancel, and if you don't know what I'm saying, I don't blame you. But Multiverses was designed for like casual appeal. It's designed to be the smash killer with all these Warner Brothers properties. Steven Universe is in the same game as Beetlejuice. So it's a very interesting ensemble. I just think it's still around. People still play it, but it really seemed like it was going to be something bigger until I think they really shot themselves in the foot when it got kind of canned. Another one that I thought would be Game of the Year, and I was a little disappointed. Sorry for like the trauma dump, I guess. Gosh. is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So I was thinking like another Microsoft Flight Simulator game. Like, didn't one just come out like a few years ago? And like, yeah, but that was 2020, and we're now since 4 years out from the dark times, and you know, that's probably about time for a sequel. It seems pretty substantial. It's using like the same engine. I know that 2020 was a really big revival in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I really loved it. So when they were adding like helicopter missions, they were adding, I think like firefighting, or like just kind of like jobs almost that you have to do at like airplanes. It's a little bit more than just drop yourself in the world and then see like the trees and stuff. I think that in and of itself is a way that you should at least check out Flight Simulator if you're anywhere at all interested. I would imagine that 2024, if you're brand new, is probably the one you'd want to do. It's had some problems. It has some weird store things. I remember that you install it on Steam. It's like a 10 megabyte. You're like, oh wow, and then you actually have to go into the game because of the way that the server works with content. It's some sort of DRM thing, and yeah, I don't know. It's like 100 gigs, and unfortunately, it's not installed on my machine for that reason. It just kind of fell flat, I guess. It's like more Flight Simulator, but it's like if you have the 2020 version, then it's not that much of an improvement. Now we're getting to the good ones. So this is like an actual honorable mention to Mini Motorways. This kind of came out of left field for me. Mini Metro is like the original game, but Mini Motorways seems like a very natural conclusion. Everyone really loves it. I just feel bad if I didn't mention it. I don't really have a whole lot to say. It's a phone game. It's a cozy little phone game, which is what everybody likes, I guess, or something. It's relaxing. I feel like it's not as easy. It's not as simple, which is kind of what made Mini Metro to me really good, is that it was really simple. But Mini Motorways, I think they added more things to make it so you could get further, but it doesn't seem as simple, I guess. It's not as straightforward as like a train, as their cars. All right. Melatonin was almost there. It is a rhythm game. I have been really itching for a good rhythm game with a good aesthetic, like cartoony graphics. This is one where I almost beat like the whole thing within like one sitting, but I couldn't do it. Too big. So, and then eventually I kind of lost interest just because like I really needed to be in the mood to play a rhythm game. Maybe that's like inherently wrong with the genre, is that I knew that there were only like 2 levels left, so I like practically beaten it, but I just wasn't really wanting to get the extra push there. Melatonin's a very solid game. It's very short. If it's on sale for like $10, then by all means get it, but I know that they are custom levels. I haven't done anything like that, but I can't say it doesn't deserve a recommendation. The last M game in the winner of M Game of the Year is Marvel Rivals. Yes, the Marvel game. I'm wearing the shirt. I didn't even know that. Marvel Rivals is the M Game of the Year for me. It's the Overwatch killer. I think that it's official. Like, Overwatch is the lowest player count it's ever had since it launched on Steam. Now, that's not saying a lot, but I just know that Marvel Rivals right now, it's kind of been hitting off. It's been a really good hero-based shooter. They kind of get a bad rap, especially with Concord earlier this year, but it's Marvel IPs. It's got Doctor Strange, Captain America, like all of my favorite heroes are there. So I think it's almost like the Dragon Ball Fighters effect in like how that affected fighting games, where there was this old guard of like Marvel, and so Marvel created like its sequel, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and people didn't really like it a whole lot. There was a lot of animosity. I think now Overwatch 2 players have kind of accepted it, and they are liking the game, or they're generally positive with the way that things are balanced. So I don't think that Marvel Rivals is actually the Overwatch 2 killer. I know, I'm sorry. But it is just very fresh, and the moment where everybody gets to jump into a game and it's brand new to everyone, there's not a meta, and it's a decently balanced shooting game, I think that's fantastic. I mean, there's like, it's like a new engine. It's made by, I think, like NetEase or Tencent Games or whatever. That's kind of fine, but it's got some good talent. It's got some good polish. Overall, it's just a kind of a really complete package. Competitive feels great. I kind of want to play it some more now. I can't really say anything other than, like, I don't know if people will stick around, mainly because it's kind of really designing itself for casual audiences, which I think is the right move. There's no role queue, which means that you can't, like, go in saying, like, I'm gonna heal people, or I'm gonna be the tank. You go in with 6 people, they're all gonna lock in, like, the damage heroes, and then you basically are gonna have to get annoyed to the point where if you really want to win, you're gonna have to be the dude that switches to whatever the team needs, which I think is not a bad way to do it. If I were to give my 2 cents, I think in the competitive mode you should have like a no more than 3 rule, where like if you're the first, I don't know, if you're first loading in and there can only be up to 3 of any one role before you have to pick someone else. I think that might be a good way to balance it rather than inflating queue times. I know that might have its own problems and that might kill the game or whatever, but yeah, I think that pretty much explains Marvel Rivals takes it. In terms of the letter N, I think I really got 3 it could possibly be, but 1 is definitely a standout that's going to be the winner. So let's get our honorable mentions out of the way. We're starting out with Noice, I believe is how you pronounce it. This is a roguelike wizard game in which you have different staffs, and you can augment them with different power-ups and abilities, and your goal is to kind of go down in order to defeat a monster, I believe. It's a very neat game. I think there is a good amount of replayability and creativity. It's also just a little bit hard to grasp, but the physics are really cool. It's almost very powder toy in terms of how you get to go through it and things like that. And I'll be honest, it's quite solid. It's very good on something like a Steam Deck, and it is a good roguelike. Speaking of roguelikes that start with the letter N, we have Nuclear Throne. This is another good, nice, and portable game, and it is lacking a little bit in the graphics department and the style. I mean, of course, artwork does look very good, but when you're actually looking at the gameplay, it almost does seem like you're working in like a game maker's toolkit sort of environment. It doesn't mean it's bad by any means. It's very difficult. There's a lot of nuance with how the different characters play, and there's some co-op in it, and overall, I think that there's a lot to master in a game like Nuclear Throne. It's very, like, get in, get out. It's pretty snappy and nice. But very difficult. I don't think I've ever made it all the way through because I go with, like, the crows, and they, like, shoot bullets that are, I don't know, really hard. So, no. The end game of the year is a fighting game, a platform fighting game. You probably already know it, or maybe you don't, but it's Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. And by the way, we should have platform fighting games that don't have the word Brawl in it, because you got Brawl Stars, Brawl Out, now you have Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. It's kind of just craziness, but it can, you know, really pay a lot of attention to a particular genre-defining platform fighter that also has the name Brawl in it, that a lot of people in the competitive community do not like. But they usually like it, you know, in terms of like single player, obviously, yada yada. It's like one of the most debated things ever. But yes, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is my pick for end game of the year. It's really got the full package. The first game was very intriguing to a lot of people. It picked up a lot of steam as the Smash Bros. Killer. There were a lot of those last year. You know, we just talked about multiverses, but again, this one actually seemed to have like an actual solid gameplay foundation that wasn't like a just trust me bro, because they have meter mechanics that all come from traditional fighting games, which is something that I really liked. I like being able to like meter burn or burst to stop your momentum or use super moves. I think that that's really cool, and those are welcome changes to the genre. I think the main issue with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is that the first one came out but like a year or maybe 2 years at most before then, and a lot of people bought into that one thinking that that was like the experience, but that was definitely much more of a, oh, we have all these Nickelodeon IPs, please make a game for as cheap as possible, to the point where it didn't even have voice acting. Now, they got voice acting later down the line, and money started coming in. They got DLC, which is, you know, more of that sort of continual like growth that, you know, is good, indicative of a solid game. And it is true that what was there in the first one was solid enough, but there was a lot of reused animations that drove a lot of people away. And obviously a lot of these Smash killers are very much a flash in the pan, and that everyone just eventually gravitates towards usually Smash Melee. But you know, with Smash Ultimate being the way that it currently is being viewed competitively, it is definitely, there's a lot of room for other people to come in and kind of take some of that crown, at least, you know, until the Switch 2 comes out, and hopefully, you know, something happens with that sometime soon. I don't know. So Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 has a actual adventure mode, full voice acting. The main issue is that not every character is returning because they basically had to rebuild the game from scratch. But there's a lot of polish there in what there is. And again, it's asking for another pretty big price tag. You know, if it worked once, then you're going to probably assume it's going to work again. I think that ultimately kind of hurt the player base, because a lot of people got the first one and they didn't realize that the second one would be coming out so soon. So, you know, it's kind of like Microsoft Flight Simulator in that regard, where people get like the really cool new thing, and then you make something that has a lot of quality of life changes, but overall, like, wow, that's still a pretty hefty price tag. So who knows? It remains to be seen how much legs this one has. I think that it's decently well, but it's almost still like kind of an obscure title. If you go to like a tournament wanting to play with some people, it's probably going to be played off to the side. It's not really going to get the main floor treatment, like a lot of people perhaps foolishly thought it would. So this was the MN video. I appreciate y'all for watching. We're going to hit up O and P tomorrow. So I hope that you have a wonderful day and stay frosty. That's the outro.